It's no secret that film and media these days has gotten a little repetitive, and in order to add some unpredictability to the content I consume, I've turned to desperate measures.
I'll do anything! Anything!
In this series, I will travel to thrift stores and, by using a random number generator, pick a random movie to watch and then give my opinion on. If you've ever been to a place like a Goodwill or Value Village, you probably know how random and obscure some of the DVDs that they have there are. So this challenge could either go well and I could discover a great new film, or I could be regretting this entire thing. Let's hope it goes well. Welcome into Random Movie Review with me, Matt McKeck. Okay, so here we go, heading into my local Goodwill, and when we got to the DVD shelves, we saw there were 8 rows going up and down, and then I counted how many DVDs were in the first half of the shelf going left to right, which is 59. Then I multiplied that by 2, which is 118, but I went down to 117 just in case there was one less DVD on the other side. Okay, now time to run the number generator. Between 1 and 8, we got 2, which meant that our movie would have to come from the second row, this one here. And then when we ran it from 1 to 117, we got big ol' 99, which meant that our movie came from right about here. Time to start counting some cases. Starting from the far left, we counted 99 to the right. I didn't record every tally, but I caught the last 20 or so. So here we go. 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, and 99. Which, when we pull it out and see what we got, The Weatherman. Now, I never heard of this movie before, but Nick Cage playing a weatherman wielding a bow and arrow, I was sold immediately, as was the movie, and I couldn't wait to pop this thing into my totally normal DVD player. Up pops the menu screen, and away we go. The Weatherman, directed by Gore Verbinskis, follows a man named Dave Spritz, who's, well, a weatherman. While Dave's job as a Chicago weatherman gives him a sizable salary as well as a local celebrity status, Dave isn't happy. And it's probably because every single facet of his life is very messed up. You see, Dave isn't a model citizen. He ruined his marriage, he's failing at trying to maintain a relationship with his 2 kids, who could really use some parental supervision. He's a phony at his job, as we learned that he doesn't even know how to read the weather.
I can say it, but I sort of want to understand it.
He hates his fans.
Can you get out of my face? Can you get out of my face?
And many of them kinda hate him too. And he can never remember to bring home the tartar sauce.
I heard you! Tartar sauce! Tartar sauce, tartar sauce, tartar sauce.
Anything else?
No?
But through a series of sentimental events and psychological breakthroughs, Dave and his perception of life changed drastically. Whether that changed better or not, well, that's for us to decide. Now, as we enter the spoiler zone, if this movie looks like one you'd want to watch, then I would personally recommend doing so. And don't worry, we'll still be here when you're finished. And if not, well then let's get into it for pork's sake.
Porker!
But before I explain why I liked this film, I feel that it is my duty to share my 2 main nitpicks that I had with it. This is Shelley, Dave's daughter. And this is Robert, Dave's father. Now, in the context of the story, these are actually 2 very important characters who play pivotal roles in Dave's character development. And it wasn't the 2 as characters that I had a problem with, but more so the performances given by each actor, who were Jermaine de la Peña and Sir Michael Caine. Sorry about that. Now, I can't hold De La Peña's performance against her too much. Obviously, she was just a kid, and according to her IMDb page, this was only her 2nd acting role ever, so clearly she was a bit inexperienced. But unfortunately, this inexperience was very apparent in the film.
Really?
Sure, and then we'll go show Pop-Pop some of this stuff.
I just couldn't help but be distracted and taken out of the film's momentum during a lot of her scenes, which is always a downside. And it definitely didn't help that her fellow child actor was a young Nicholas Hoult, who honestly gave the 2nd best performance of the entire cast. Our other actor in question, however, does not get the same leeway. Besides maybe one scene in the entire film, this performance from Michael Caine felt totally phoned in. And when I say phoned in, I'm talking about phoned in from one of those red English phone booths, because Caine's American accent sounded way more Cockney than Chicago.
People throw shakes at you. Why would someone throw a shake at you? They don't know you. You just read the weather.
This simply made it a lot harder to accept that Cage and Caine, which kind of sounds like a mall food court restaurant, were actually father and son, which is a relationship the film crucially relies upon. But hey, if I had to describe in detail what a camel toe is, maybe I wouldn't take my lines too seriously either.
They call her a camel toe.
What are you talking about?
It means the crease in her vagina that they can discern through her clothing.
What?
The strongest constructional aspect of the film was far and away its use of writing. The Weatherman utilized his voiceover narration, a method of storytelling in film that is often used to give outwardly deviant and generally unrelatable characters, think of some of Scorsese's leads, a much needed layer of empathy.
I'm fast food.
A voiceover narration that reveals one's true emotions and justifies their actions channels a more intimate connection between audience and protagonist.
What must you think of me? Your non-meteorologist, yet weatherman, frosty-taking, fuck-happy son. Don't die yet, Robert. Give me time to get it together.
And because of this, we are able to resonate with Dave being very socially and emotionally flawed, which simply makes for a more compelling and entertaining film. The Weatherman also uses its narration in a unique way to provide exposition. Initially, Dave's voiceovers are concerned with his present career and familial issues, which he believes need to be fixed so that he can finally feel that he has met the high social standard that his father has set upon him before his father passes away from a terminal illness. Consumed with appeasement, it's not until the end of the second act that Dave actually begins to reflect upon why these issues are even present in the first place, which through scenes that narrate the deterioration of his recent past, show Dave that he has been the conductor of his own storm. And because Dave doesn't detail how his family fell apart until after we've connected and gotten familiar with the current state of each character, the decisions that we've seen them all make a lot more sense, and are that much more heartbreaking. The main conflict for Michael, Dave's son, is that he has fallen victim to the manipulation of a child predator, who was also his counselor during his time at drug rehab. As we see the two spend more and more time together and the relationship get ever more uncomfortably close, the audience can't help but question why Michael can't recognize the danger he's in and why there's no one there to help and protect him. These questions are answered not only when we begin to understand that Dave struggles to connect with his son due to his fractured relationship with his own father, but also when we see, little by little, how the tension in Dave's marriage went past a tipping point, which led Michael's connection to his father to be severed. In an unexpected way, each character's actions become more and more justified, except for this piece of shit of course, the more we hear about the family's exposition through Dave's narration, as it also reinforces the bond between sadness and reality. But in order to break up this sadness, the Weatherman's score hits way harder than it honestly should. I wasn't even close to expecting such a high level of funk with a movie with this much of a great tone, but just listen to this. This decision to make the score have this almost whimsical and bouncy vibe actually turned out to be one of the two factors that gave this film a ton of charm. It also coincided with the film's theme of the importance of light around darkness, which I'll elaborate on further in a bit. And throughout the whole film I kept wondering, who could have thought to create the score in this direction? Until I heard this. Sound familiar? Well, if you recognized it, it may be because you've heard this little ditty before. So yeah, the composer is the one, the only, Hans Zimmer, because of course it is, and if you ever want to knock someone's socks off with some obscure Zimmer trivia, tell them that Hans Zimmer's deepest and most ethereal cut has got to be Visions of SpongeBob. No, seriously, I'm not kidding, this is the actual title of an arrangement in the film, when Nick Cage is having visions of a giant, inflatable SpongeBob. Just watch the movie and it will make a lot more sense when you do. But anyway, Hans rocked it, as always. The second charm of this movie is someone I've already talked a bit about, but it's for a good reason, as this movie doesn't work nearly as well as it does without the Nicolas Coppola. I didn't know that was his real name until now, but it is Nicolas Cage, giving a performance that pretty much perfectly blends drama and comedy.
It's cold! Oh, fuck!
And along with a great dose of Cage rage, Nick Cage literally carries this film on his back. Almost every single scene of the film involves him, and honestly, I'm grateful for it. The facial expressions, the line delivery.
I got hit with a pop.
What?
A big gulp.
and even his body acting give a depressing character such a unique likability, and I probably would have enjoyed The Weatherman so much less if it didn't star Nick Cage. And also, while there was a point in time when Nick Cage was in line to play Superman, if you've ever had a burning desire to see Nick Cage play Batman, well, look no further than in this film. Let's run down the Batman checklist. He's a public figure trying to do good, lives in a cold and desolate city, he's looked down upon by society, trains to fight and use weapons, refuses to kill,
I don't really want to kill animals with arrows, so that's not going to happen.
is literally fathered by Michael Caine, and of course, this moment.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
And that's who I am. The Weatherman.
If you swap the words weather and bat, you literally wouldn't be able to tell which movie was which. Now, there's this tagline on the cover of the DVD that says, "In life, accuracy counts." And while this idea somewhat conveys Dave's main internal struggle, I think it misses the mark on relaying the film's major theme, along with Dave's character arc, which is represented by the title of not only Dave's job, but by the title of the film itself. What does the Weatherman do? Well, he guesses. He isn't totally sure what the weather will be, but he has to pretend like he is. This impossibility to be accurate frustrates Dave and leads him to invest himself into a new hobby, archery, which he quickly gets very attached to. And why does he obsess over this newfound ability? Because he's finally able to have control over accuracy within his own life, a feeling that's been taken away from him by his father, who set and imposed a precedent of personal success that Dave has been pressured to live up to for as long as he can remember. This pressure has shaped Dave into the person that he is, someone who feels that every aspect of his life, his job, his public image, and his family have to be nothing short of perfect, or else he is a failure. But throughout the movie, Dave has experiences that show him that it is possible to define his own success. Like when he goes on a fun-filled shopping spree with his daughter, when he lets go of his ex-wife in acceptance that she's getting remarried, when he beats the living shit out of the predator who was trying to take advantage of his son, and when him and his father finally share a moment of mutual respect as each understands that they've always been but a reflection of one another. Dave realizes that while concepts of accuracy and perfection are heavily prioritized traits in an American capitalist society, which Dave has been raised to evaluate himself upon, they shouldn't define success. This imposed notion of how we are supposed to live our lives is something that everyone experiences and to some extent falls victim to. But what the Weatherman argues is that just like the weather, life is completely unpredictable, and how someone should define their own success is by how you're able to embrace the spots of sunshine that break through our cold and cloudy existence. Because in life, accuracy counts, but balance is everything. But that was just my interpretation of The Weatherman, and I urge you to watch this film and put your own meaning to it. This one's certainly worth it. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Hope you leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.
It's just wind. It's wind. It blows all over the place. What the fuck?